That's not good. That's not good at all. If this wasn't the way it is, I wouldn't be having this problem. You see what I'm saying? You'll want to lose your mind. There is nothing like waking up to a blue sky here in the Florida Keys, unless you spent the entire night watching water leak down the sides of this window and there was not a dang thing you could do about it. I'm sure you remember when I had a leak from this guy right here, and so we scrubbed the carpet and vacuumed it and cleaned it and dried it and repaired this. While I was at it, I installed little fans for the kids so they stayed a little bit cooler at night, and this room was peachy keen, but we haven't had a heavy rain since then. Yesterday it rained for 100% of the day, and as we went to bed last night, it rained like crazy. I mean, heavy rain. The kind of rain that you kind of enjoy hearing. Listening to the rain in an RV is comparable only to listening to the rain in a tent. If you know you're going to stay dry, you love hearing it, and it just will lull you to sleep. Unless you found a leak in your RV, and then it lulls you into a deep nightmare that you'll live for the next 8 hours. It's fantastic. So I don't recommend that. Today we're going to pull this window and fix it. I did, however, find last night where the problem really persists, and it's outside the RV. But I know we've got to start by taking this window out. First things first, I'm going to get rid of this curtain because it's in my way. These screws go around the entire perimeter of the inside of the RV. That's what holds it together. And so you're going to need to remove those. But if you're working on an RV at all, you will want a square-headed bit. There are a few different sizes. I would just buy a series of them because you'll use these in electrical work if you're doing that as well. But this is what is used. You do not want to use a Phillips. It looks like it can handle it, but it won't. It will strip that and you will ruin these screws the entire time. Spend $2, get the right tool for the right job, and don't mess with anything else. Those screws actually just go into this small fin area around the entire window, and that's what's holding it on. This wood is dry right here, and you can come down and now you can see where it's wet. There's not much I can do about what's in the wall right now. We're just gonna have to air it out and let it dry, but we have to at least stop the rain from getting back in again. Now we've got to go outside, break that seal, and pull the window out. This long channel going all the way down the length of my RV is the RV's rain gutter, just like on your house. The water comes off and then it channels it away. So there's not as much water sitting on the slides. There are even small rain gutters dedicated to keeping any water coming down the face of the RV off of the slide as well. They want to eliminate as much water as well, because this little flap right there is what keeps water out of the RV on top of the slides, which I am on. In theory, they're built pretty well, but these gutters, for whatever reason, are not continuous pieces. They probably come in 20-foot lengths, and then they connect them. Where these two 20-foot lengths meet is right here, and it sits above a window. Now, for some reason, my window water was coming through and coming out on this corner, so I don't know if it's just working its way all along the seal and then getting over here. I don't really know. We're going to take the whole window off to find out, but regardless, a huge amount of water is still coming down out of this, and you can see the line right there from years of it doing it, and it sits above this window. So it's probably been doing this for a long time. It's a really common problem. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to fix it. One thing you will need is some kind of a tool to get in and break this seal. But I do recommend it being like a plastic piece. That's not good. That's not good at all. I think that should have been a lot more work to get off of there, but it's not. If when you're pulling that window off, it comes off that easy, it clearly didn't have a good enough seal to begin with. So luckily we don't have a huge mess to clean up with the seal, but that's exactly why we're having to clean it up in the first place. This was not sealed well to begin with, and it's just something we got to deal with. Now I will make a note, this is a 2021 model. I believe it was built in 21. During 2020 and 2021, even into 22, what I call the COVID years, these trailers are being produced at a astronomical rate, and that speed up obviously came with some consequences. Stuff got overlooked a little bit, quality may have been sacrificed just a little bit. So if you have one of those model years, I would definitely keep an eye on things a little more intently than you already would with an RV. Now, an RV is not a kind of buy it and forget about maintenance at all. It is one of those things you constantly have to be maintaining. This repair is not out of the norm. It is out of the norm for how new of a trailer this is and how soon I'm having to do it. All the videos that I saw with people doing this, their trailers were significantly older, and so it was kind of a waste and wear out kind of thing, not a failure on the manufacturer's part kind of thing. Regardless, it's the same fix and it's not hard. No wonder our butyl wasn't sealing. It didn't even sit here. This had folded up when it got put in, and so it wasn't actually sitting there actually creating that bond. Wow. It shouldn't be coming off that easy either. This butyl tape, usually you have to take it off by shreds and use some kind of acetone to clean it all off. This was just very subpar material. I think if the seal comes off completely intact, you get your money back. That's pretty bad. That's really not good. Convenient for cleaning and makes it nice for taking this apart, but if this wasn't the way it is, I wouldn't be having this problem. You see what I'm saying? We're going to be using a bit of acetone to get the sticky off this. There's really not a lot, but I need this to be down to the kind of bare material, the bare paint, or just as clean as possible so that the new butyl tape we put on there will actually do its job. And just a note, we're going to fill up a few of these full of acetone to scrub these. Do not put these in your garbage can and just leave them in a hot place. They've got to be in a well-vented area or else you will have a house fire. There. Because of the seam that's in the frame right here and how it's sealed up with this really special kind of butyl caulking, it's working fine, but the seam continues here and I don't want to get rid of that at all. So I'm going to delicately just get close to it and cleaning it off. I don't want to go crazy on this and eliminate that because the acetone will eat that. Same thing, there's another little seam right there. It's not a seam in the frame, but it's this hinge piece that holds the outside frame to the inside frame. That's sealed, and I don't want to break that seal because that's not from the manufacturer of the RV, that's the manufacturer of the window. So that seal is good. Now our window's clean, we're ready to put our new butyl tape on it. Everything has been cleaned on the window itself. Now it's time to clean the RV. And there are two spots that I really need to take care of. This one we're gonna clean because we're gonna tape that and seal that up so hopefully we won't have direct water coming down on this window anymore. And then we wanna clean this because 90% of adhesion working properly is surface prep. I think I've said this a million times. My buddy worked for a company that provides rocket boosters for NASA, and he says they would spend hours and hours cleaning just to glue these parts on. And he says the sticky stuff they were using was no different than any 3M that you could get at the store, but it was the way they cleaned it and prepped it that it made it bond where it just could not come off. So take your time, clean this area out. Don't know what that is. You can just see how much dirt has been carried into this window because of that seal. And I kind of think it has to do with not being flat all the way there. I don't know, but bad seal and then just swelling. But clearly we've gotten a lot of dirt and dust into this window that should not be here. Now, if you're watching these videos thinking to yourself, wow, RVs are a pain in the butt, they're a lot of work, they are. But I will say it's worth it. When I wake up and walk outside and I'm staring at the ocean, or if we're in Swing Arm City and I walk out and I'm staring at the kids having a good time, these little pain in the butts are worth it. But in the moment, you'll want to lose your mind. I went down to the hardware store and I got butyl tape. Now this is a little different than what we had on there to begin with. What we had was a foam tape, and you can use either or. They didn't have a foam tape that really suited the needs of this. I felt like they were either too thick or not waterproof enough. They weren't necessarily an external kind of sealing tape. They were more of a weather stripping. But this butyl tape, this is actually the same stuff I've put on my shop to kind of weld the seams so that water doesn't come down them. So this is what I got. I have miles of this at home. It stinks buying it on the road, but this is what we're gonna use because this will seal these very well. I'm gonna try and make sure that the seam is not anywhere on the top. Preferably, we want the seam to be on the bottom of this window. See, I'm trying to not separate this paper too soon, but in order to do the corners, you're gonna have to, so that they'll actually make the corner turn. And what you really need to be careful of is pulling this butyl tape too tight. If you take the tape off of it, the paper off of it, it can stretch really thin. We don't want it any thinner than it already is. Ease it around these corners. You want to make sure there aren't bubbles in it lifted. You want it to be 100% in contact with that everywhere, not a single lifted bubble, because that will cause a problem too. I'll go back and take all this paper off later. But it really does make a difference getting around these corners. Push this guy in just to make sure we've got good seal everywhere. After we put the window in, I could still see daylight right here. And when I was grabbing the frame and pulling it tight, I could still see daylight, which tells me this isn't bonded enough. And while this is a pretty strong frame, once it gets screwed together, it's not gonna pull harder than I physically can. So I think we either need to double the butyl tape and go around it, or just try to recenter it. I think I had it resting too much on the bottom, and I need it sitting closer to the top seal. That's a double all the way around. What I want to do is just get all these screws started for right now. These screws can strip out super easy. We're going to start at this top corner and work our way around. So you'll just come to the top and work your way down and over, going like 6 inches every time. So let me push hard there. Okay, come back 6 inches and push. Come back like 6 inches and push from the top. Yep. Okay, come. Okay, I think that looks pretty good, yeah. I feel like we accomplished what we wanted. We wanted that butyl tape to sit outside the frame and seal off everywhere, but I don't want all this excess piled in here, so what we're gonna do is cut it along so that it looks like this. And then I'm actually going to take Lexel and put a bead of Lexel on top also, so that it just kind of, we're going to give this thing as much reinforcement as we possibly can. But I do recommend that you cut this rather than trying to just peel it and pull it, because then you can pull it out of the seal you've created. So we've done our good job creating a seal there. We don't want to mess that up. Okay. I'm pulling the entire window off. One, so I can take a look at this gasket, make sure it's good. Because if there's dirt on it, it doesn't seal as well. And two, it gets me into this butyl tape the exact way I want to, which when the glass is on, it covers this so I can't get into there as well. Now our butyl tape is actually really following the profile so nice. It gives me that perfect area to just put some Lexel right across the top of this. But on this side, it got just a little dirty, so I want to do my best to clean this up just to make sure it seals as best as possible. Now I'm not going to caulk down here. I'm going to bring my caulking down to about the corner, and then down to about the corner. There's butyl tape under here that should be sufficient. What you have to do is allow water to escape. If water is getting in, you got to allow a place for it to escape, which is why windows have weep holes, so that water can escape once it's in, if it gets in. This caulking that I'm using is Lexel. It is their just incredible waterproof stuff, and it works really, really well. And it is very, very tacky. And because the product works really well, is very tacky, it makes it a little difficult to work with. That's the trade-off. Something that's easy to work with doesn't bond to your hands very well. It's not bonding to this either, but this stuff bonds to everything. So you've got to take your time and really set it in right the first time, because it doesn't tool very well. And by tool, I mean you can't run your finger across it and clean it up. The bead I put down is the bead that's staying. Here's a pro tip. If you're moving to a different bead area now, make sure you wipe your nose off again so that you're starting fresh. Don't drag that mess with you everywhere you go. Since I have a minute and this inside area is going to be hard to access once it's bolted back down, we're going to clean this window really good. Our window problem is completely dealt with. Now I want to deal with the problem of this seam on this gutter. We're going to prep it the exact same way. Clean it. This Flex Seal is not a fix-all kind of thing, and I'm not a big just duct tape it and call it good kind of guy at all. But for now, I think this is going to work really well until I can maybe figure out a more permanent fix. I think we're done on the outside of this roof. Here's the worst part about doing any of these projects is the cleanup afterwards. Ow! Not because it's really tedious cleanup, but it's just you're working in confined space, and so it's a pain to get back up into there and clean up again. Now I'm going to set a fan on here and let this dry out the rest of the day, and then I think we should be good. Hopefully the next time it rains, we're sealed watertight. There's really only one way to find out, and we just have to wait till then. But if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and any of the items I used in today's video I will link in the description as well, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.